Good evening, everybody. So excited to be here at the Sullivan County Partnership event. Last year at this time, we were at the Cartwright enjoying the most enjoyable evening, celebrating the 25th annual meeting. We left the meeting so proud and excited about Sullivan County. Although we are in the midst of a pandemic, we reached out to our architectural and engineering clients. Much to our excitement, we found they are extremely busy designing projects here in Sullivan County. I agree with their opinion that Sullivan County is going to continue to move forward with diversified projects from A to Z in agriculture, education, infrastructure, housing, hotel, medical, manufacturing, tourism, transportation, but not limited to. What we are so proud of since our inception in 1984, we've been on almost every project on Route 17 from Wardsboro to Hancock. Sullivan County has been our second home, and we're so proud of it.
We've been so proud and honored to be a part of so many of the projects built in Sullivan County over the course of time, with some of those including the new Resorts World Catskills, including the Alder Hotel, the Entertainment Village, and the reconstruction of the new Monster Golf Course, the Monticello Raceway from back at the time that it started, the new Cartwright Indoor Water Park, the Y01 Health Resort, the new Sullivan County Jail, the Eldred Preserve, which we're very excited to see open. We've been at Monticello Motor Club many times throughout the course of our history. We just completed a project reconstructing the Sullivan County Airport runway, and the Garnet Health Urgent Care Facility at the Resorts World site, along with countless miles of roads and bridges all across the county that our clients, who have been everyone from owners to engineers, contractors, and architects, have really just been very kind to advanced testing over the course of our history.
The partnership's commitment to attracting and expanding to Sullivan County has been second to none. Like many of you that are participating in this event, we are so thankful to Mark, Jennifer, and this entire staff at Sullivan County Partnership. Not only looking out for the well-being of Sullivan County, but the partnership investors. From the bottom of Advanced Testing's heart, we cannot thank the partnership and the board of directors for their commitment to Sullivan County, and we wish all of you much success and great health.
Thank you for this opportunity to introduce Envision Architects. I'm Daria Mallon.
I'm Jennifer Robillard.
And I'm Kelly Klopfer.
We're the owners of Envision Architects here in Albany, New York, a certified New York State women-owned business. We are thrilled to be here as new members of the Sullivan County Partnership and to sponsor. We've been enjoying working with some of your biggest employers in the county, including SUNY Sullivan and the Center for Discovery. Our practice is committed to leading design and advancing communities, and we can't wait to meet more of you. Enjoy the meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to the 26th annual meeting of the Sullivan County Partnership for Economic Development. I'm Fred Stabbert, Chair of the Marketing Committee. To say we are writing history would be an understatement. We are living in historic times. Maybe none of our 158 partnership members summed up 2020 any better than incoming chair Randy Resnick when he said Sullivan County business people are tough. We are used to getting punched in the gut and coming out stronger on the other side. Randy, you were right. Our Sullivan County business community has responded to the dramatic challenges of 2020 in creative ways, tackling issues head-on and adapting our business strategies to fit new realities. Sullivan County is welcoming new residents, new businesses, and also hosting many visitors who are seeking a safe haven from the metropolitan areas. Our Sullivan County Partnership has had to adapt. President and CEO Marc Baez decided 2020 was not a time to take a breather, but a time to work harder to attract new business to our county and help those businesses already here to get through this battle together. He and his team, Office Manager Jennifer Clayton, Economic Development Coordinator Vanessa Olivo, Director of Membership and Special Events Jen Casaro, have worked tirelessly to attract new members, organize many meet and greets, and put together programs that promote our county and the economic development opportunities it has to offer. Thank you for all your hard work. The Sullivan County IDA and Sullivan County Legislature have also continued to play a major role in economic development, supporting the partnership in its mission to create a strong economy through job creation and new business development. Thank you to our legislature and County Manager Josh Potosik. Our elected representatives in Albany, Assemblywoman Aileen Gunther and State Senator Jen Metzger, continue to champion economic development projects in our region, and for that we are very grateful. The partnership needs your support more than ever. If you are already a member, thank you very much for your support. If you are not already a member, please join and help make Sullivan County stronger. And we'd like to also thank all those members who helped support tonight's virtual annual meeting with your sponsorship. Thank you. On Tuesday, we officially welcomed our new slate of officers during a virtual board meeting. They are Chair Randy Resnick, Vice Chair Karen Fisher, Treasurer Michael Zalkin, and Secretary Jim Bates. We would also like to congratulate our newly elected directors, Gary Silver, Larry Walensky, Kevin McLaren, John Brust, Kalito Holt, and Michael Zalkin. On behalf of the membership, I would also like to thank everyone, especially our essential workers who have helped Sullivan County get through this pandemic. There are more faces and stories than we will ever know, but your dedication, hard work, sacrifice, and strong spirit have carried us this far and will continue to keep us strong. Please keep the faith, keep smiling, and most importantly, stay healthy.
I'd like to welcome you to the partnership event. I know this year is a little weird. Normally we have a nice event, everybody's there, and enjoying the network and everything. But unfortunately, these are different times. I'd like to thank everybody as a chair for the last 2 years. It was a very enjoyable time. During my tenure as chairman, things were on a tremendous upswing until, well, this whole COVID event hit. And then, well, it looks like things are on an upswing again. But during the middle part of the last 6 months, there's been difficulties, not only in Sullivan County, but throughout the country. However, that being stated, I see nothing but a bright future for this county. In my business, we're seeing resurgence everywhere. We're also seeing folks that had never thought about coming to Sullivan County come back and look at it and say, hey, I want to be here. I have clients that are coming as far away as Lower Pennsylvania, Jersey, New York City, and all the traditional places to think that they may want to locate businesses here. Projects that appear to have been dead for decades are now looking to come back. So I know the theme of this year is how to rebuild Sullivan County. I don't think it needs to be rebuilt. I think we just need to continue on. The partnership has tremendous leadership. We also have a tremendous membership. People from all sectors of business who look forward. That is what I would try to tell everybody today. because that is what I think is most important in what's going on and where we see things headed. Projects the likes of this county has never seen are being discussed by folks who bought properties back in the 70s. I think this is a time of great joy, because now what we started on last year, we continue to rebuild on. We also are looking forward to other new friends that are coming in looking, and projects that I really wish I could talk to you about, but are just very exciting for this whole county. I'd also like to thank all the members of the board and all the other folks for just how much effort that they have put in and the way they've had to adapt through virtual meetings and everything, and the financial support that that everybody has poured to keep these organizations and everything moving. Like I said, I know that this is a weird time, and I would normally have, try to be funny and all those things, which I will leave to our next chair coming in, Mr. Resnick. But I do think that this is very serious, that people should know is the times are not bad. Times are growing. And what everybody looks upon now is, look how bad it is, or look where we are is. I can honestly tell you from 5+ years ago, we would have been happy to be where we are now.
Hi, my name is Randy Resnick. I'm the incoming chair for the Sullivan County Partnership. First, I'd like to say thank you for Jim Bates for 2 years of service. As a board member, I get to watch Jim for the last 2 years do an amazing job as the chair, including helping with membership drives, with cleaning up our governance and our bylaws. Jim has been a total asset to the partnership, and I wanted to say thank you for that. As the incoming chair, my ideas are going to be to, of course, increase membership, but also try to make the partnership a more independent, freestanding organization. One of the things that I personally have in mind is trying to look past this pandemic period and try to figure out a long-term plan, because hopefully in the near future we'll be over this little bit of a hump and we'll be back to the economic development machine that was happening over the last few years for the partnership and Sullivan County. You might not see what's going on behind the scenes here. We don't go out and announce all of the projects that are pending, but you wouldn't believe the amount of things going on and why the partnership plays such a vital role in the economic development of Sullivan County. As far as the future goes, the partnership has received money over the years, which we are now lending out to small businesses. During the pandemic, we found it very important to quietly go out there and give out money to people that were in need, businesses that were in need, and I chair actually that committee, so we're looking forward to doing more of those in the near future. Sullivan County is hot, it's still hot, and we are going to continue to push forward, and we need your support. Thank you so much.
We immediately shifted business plans and went to a takeout only model. At that time, we were open 6 days a week, and so the governor's pause went into effect on a Monday evening. So we were currently closed that Tuesday. So we closed that Tuesday, spent Monday night, Tuesday night, reopened Wednesday, and have been doing 7 days a week since then. So shifted, pivoted, and had to redesign and rethink how we're going to market ourselves. I've been able to keep all of my staff, all of them doing 40+ hours this entire time. So far paying my vendors and my mortgage. I reached out to Vanessa and she put me on the right track. Just having additional funds that in case something goes wrong, making sure I can get my payroll done, making sure that, just that it was very comforting to know that there was just something else to back you up. When so many things are changing and so many new obstacles happening all the time. The Sullivan County Partnership was tremendous to work with. Vanessa also, she guided me every step of the way and made it a seamless process. It was a pleasure working with her. We were blessed to have a very steady and supportive local crowd. But then also the people coming in from other places, mainly New York City, but they're coming from all over the place. And second homeowners, they Airbnb clients, new clients get recycled in, they get recommended by the people that own the homes. This winter we actually installed a takeout window over there, so when it gets too cold and the garage door has to come down, we're going to continue doing this 7 days a week and just trying to put a little happiness either in a drink container or a box so that people can take home and taste something beautiful and know that it's not all that bad.
We were super excited to open end of March. We were ready, we hired up, we had our team good to go, and then we started getting the news of things progressing and changing every single day. It felt like something new was happening. So we had to close down both our property, all of our foster supply properties closed, and then it was kind of a waiting game. So for about 2 weeks, we were just shut down. You know, we were supposed to see what was going to happen. And then we realized that we had this huge team of people ready to go and nothing for them to do, essentially. So one of the big pieces of our property and of our company is Single Bite, which is Sims and Kirsten's non-for-profit. So we were able to shift our entire culinary team, even myself, my guest services team, our wellness coordinator, everyone essentially changed roles and began cooking and preparing food for students. And at its peak, they were doing over 1,000 meals a week for multiple school districts. The purpose for it is we realized that a lot of students most likely depended on their food at school, you know, as one of their main meals. And now suddenly that wasn't a possibility. From speaking with so many guests on the phone, I noticed the same reoccurring theme. Our guest was looking for something close to home, where they don't have to fly, where they don't have to take public transportation, where they could essentially drive, borrow a friend's car, and come up. And Canosa Hall and kind of the Catskills as a whole was that perfect location for them, 2.5 hours from the city. And Canosa Hall, even more specifically, has food on site, has all the amenities they needed. And I think the biggest positive is that the people, our guests, are realizing kind of this untapped location. And every single guest, they're like, I never knew this was here. I never thought of coming here. You know, our guest says, I canceled my trip to Italy. I canceled my trip to Florida. I canceled all these trips, but I'm thankful I found this location. I think that's one of the biggest positives. People are realizing that there is this untapped location for them. So we were really the first ones to kind of show them that it's okay to come back to travel. It's okay to go out and not be worried because locations are taking it seriously. Things we take for granted living in the beautiful Catskills, like a backyard, a lot of our guests don't have. So I think that's what they're thankful more than anything. I had a guest, she came from Pennsylvania. This was her first time ever coming to the area. She took a canoe ride on our lake here, noticed that there were kind of like a development and some houses there. She did end up buying 17 acres a week later, and now she's booked to come up with us another 2-3 weekends coming up to come look at the site with her architect and like move here and have a location that's not Philadelphia right now. She's looking for a little bit of an escape. It just speaks to our area as a whole that you can see something and be like, wow, I can do something here. I can imagine a place. I can imagine living here.
Wow. How do I follow that energy up with my speech? Good luck, I guess. Good evening, and thank you all for participating and sponsoring our first ever virtual annual meeting. As the old saying goes, what a difference a year makes. Last year at this time, we were 300 people packed in the Cartwright meeting space, celebrating our ranking as one of the top growth areas in New York. $2 billion in investment, 3,000 jobs created. We applauded our video representation of our revved up economy and our low unemployment rate. We went into the winter feeling pretty good about ourselves. And then bam, our world and the world changed instantly. The very industry that drove our economy, tourism, was shut down. What does one do when you cannot do anything? We questioned everything. When would we open? Who would open? How would you open? And then I remembered we've been through tough times before. Certainly not like this, but nevertheless, moments that set us back, like the savings and loan crisis, dot-com bubble, 9/11, and the 2008 fiscal crisis. Each tested our resiliency, and we pressed on as best we could. And so we did this year as well. We adapted. When the economy was shut down, the partnership was the first to respond. The revolving loan committee and the staff created the Disaster Relief Workforce Emergency Loan Fund. We quickly processed applications and made loans to small businesses, predominantly in the Western Sullivan areas, to help them survive until PPP and idle relief options became available. We helped them with those programs too. Today, we're proud that all of the businesses we've assisted are operating successfully thus far. They've adapted, offering limited in-store visits, curbside pickup, and outdoor dining options. Others created new products, hand sanitizers, face masks, and other personal protective equipment. Our healthcare officials, led by Garnett Health Medical Center Catskills, have done an exceptional job keeping us informed, safe, and where needed, providing necessary treatment. We met twice weekly with our economic development partners via conference call and Zoom. Oh yeah, Zoom. It is now commonplace in our everyday dialogue. We surveyed and kept in constant communication with our businesses to assist and help them prepare for opening when they could. We were the first to safely host industry cluster in-person events that have been well received by our attendees. We've been hosting them once a month since, with meetings scheduled well into next year. Those who have participated have informed us that they've been able to safely network and conduct business better than they would have at a large-scale event. So we will be hosting them moving forward. Phase 1 opened with construction leading the way, as you saw in the video. Projects that were stalled and new projects drove the opening phase as they resumed work at the Eldred Preserve, Hampton Inn, Marshall's, Catskill Hudson Bank, and housing developments and site developments throughout the county. And then it happened. An influx of city dwellers seeking temporary respite or a permanent haven came in like a hurricane. Real estate rentals and home purchases took off, with some sales reaching 300% higher than they did the year before. New and existing homeowners have positively impacted landscapers, construction companies, plumbers, electricians, and IT firms, creating home offices and upgrading homes for the long-term stay. Many second homeowners have decided to stay and not return to urban areas, a clear signal that work from home is now here to stay and not temporary. This exposed operational vulnerabilities for business owners and broadband infrastructure weaknesses we had begun to address, but were nowhere near meeting the demand for. However, the county responded, created an LDC, which will oversee the expansion of and the availability of broadband through existing county facilities that will reach areas not served adequately, if at all. This move alone promises to open up more technologically oriented businesses to locate here and thrive. Smart, urban-based companies realize that they can serve, they can maintain, they can build their corporate client list while offering employees a real work-life balance in a spectacular country setting. The phrase we have couched over the years, work where you always wanted to live, is now front and center. Not surprisingly, we have been fielding new inquiries from e-commerce fulfillment companies, technology companies, and developers interested in developing housing. C-suite executives and small businesses have re-examined business models, not renewed their expensive Manhattan leases, and made the move to capitalize on the opportunity rather than focus on the pandemic challenges. We are currently working with one such company who has decided to make Sullivan County its home. And while I cannot speak about the company and who it is, the long-term view underscores the very nature of what has occurred in Sullivan County during this COVID-19 crisis. While I always lean toward the positive elements of any circumstance, however dire, the reality is I am bullish on Sullivan County's future, driven by incredible investment in hospitality and tourism that just seems to keep coming. Logistics now in play more than ever before, light industry, agribusiness, and now technology. The Sullivan County economy will make a comeback, and it will do it faster than it ever has before. An additional $200 million in investment expected to bring with it 800 higher than average wage paying jobs will be developed over the next 2 years. Manufacturing and e-commerce make up a good portion of that. More weights in the wings. The word is out. It is why you see our rural hamlets thriving on weekends, and why publications like Lonely Planet and Harper's Bazaar ranks us in the top 20 places to visit year after year. Roberta, I'm sure you're still happy to hear that. As we work our way out of this global setback, I would be remiss if I didn't thank all of our members, directors, and officers whose financial and volunteer support allow us to keep pushing forward our mission to promote and coordinate economic development in order to benefit our members by enhancing the quality of life and improving the standard of living in Sullivan County. But as we all know, change is inevitable. Markets change. Today, young millennials are working in and shaping our new economy. The next Apple, Google, Whole Foods is just around the corner. Companies like Forge, Onboard IQ, Acorn Biolabs, some that you've heard of, some that you've not heard of, may dramatically shift the way we hire, sell, provide healthcare, farm, manufacture, and more. This is a market we all must pay attention to. And so we've invited Jared Kleinert, USA Today's most connected millennial, founder of Meeting of the Minds, and author of 2 Billion Under 20, to speak to this evening. His clients include Facebook, Samsung, IBM, Cornell, and a who's who in the corporate and academic arena. Jared has also been bitten by the Sullivan Catskills bug. He's doing his own site search for a project that he's going to do here, hopefully in the future. So please, welcome Jared Kleinert.
Thanks so much for having me. And I know I was invited to shake things up a little bit, so would love everyone to stand up or feel free to sit down and just, shake it out a little bit. This has been an amazing meeting so far. Really appreciate seeing how you've been running this experience. I know how difficult it is to host virtual meetings. My company, Meeting of the Minds, brings together entrepreneurs once a quarter in cool places like Napa Valley, Bermuda, right here in Atlanta, where I'm zooming in from. So I know that this is no easy feat. So make sure to send the team a thank you and a congratulations on this virtual event afterwards. But I'm going to bring you into the future for a second, because I think we're living in really exciting times. And I just want you to imagine for a second that a couple of years from now, you're going to be at home, and instead of doing a Zoom into a conference, You're going to put on your glasses. You're going to have this really interesting AR, VR experience with maybe some people on your team in the room, other people putting on their glasses all over the world, but you get to have sort of an in-person experience. Imagine that when you do need to go into the major cities like New York City, Philadelphia, your self-driving car can take you in so you can work or you can watch a movie. Perhaps you might take a flying car or helicopter to and from the city. And regardless of whether you're in the city taking those important meetings, you're at home, our buildings, the places that we work and live, are going to be designed for health. They're going to be designed to integrate work and life and actually have that balance. I'm here to say that the future is now and that this is really interesting times we're living in. I'm here in Atlanta, specifically in Midtown Atlanta, and I'm witnessing this firsthand because the neighborhood that I live in and that I work in, I have a walking distance between my condo and my office, has the 4th largest office space under construction in the entire country. And literally right next to my condo, Google is currently building their Southeast regional headquarters. Marc talked about Whole Foods. Whole Foods is 3 blocks down from my condo. They built their 500th location, largest in the Southeast. And so I'm seeing firsthand how Atlanta is becoming a Southeast hub. And some of the photos that I shared with you, those are actual constructions. The second photo that I shared is from an architect that I'm working with to hopefully bring a new meeting space to Sullivan County. And he's a world-renowned architect who's worked on presidential libraries, he's worked on award-winning museums, and he's put microgreens into kitchens in New York City so that people can actually grow their own food. This technology already exists with the VR, AR setup, with self-driving cars. It's just not legalized yet for autopilot with Tesla, or it's just not distributed in mass. And so the future is now, it's coming. And with the pandemic, it's only accelerating things. And so I'm really excited to be joining you in this conversation because, as I mentioned, I'm hoping to be a neighbor of yours soon and actually bring what I call a thrivable campus to Sullivan County. This is the first thrivable campus in the world being built currently in Thailand. They've already broken ground. Peter, who's the architect behind this, was a client of ours at Meeting of the Minds, and he has raised money, started building, and we're hoping to bring something like this to Sullivan County. A little bit about me before I jump into some trends that I'd like to share with you as fellow business owners. My name is Jared Kleinert. I started my career working for 2 VC-backed startups in Silicon Valley. And I was working remotely on Zoom, occasionally went to San Francisco to hang out. And one of the companies I worked for is called 15Five. When I joined them, they were just a very small company, actually hadn't even announced themselves to the world yet. They were still in private beta. Now they have over 200 team members. They're growing like crazy, and they're powering the remote workforce and building different technologies so that teams can collaborate in real time and asynchronously while really staying connected. And then I studied top performing millennials because I had started my first businesses when I was a teenager. I was working for these companies in Silicon Valley, getting an opportunity to meet other like-minded individuals. And so I was fortunate enough to write 2 different books on top performing millennials, people who were champion athletes, Olympians, founders of companies collectively worth billions of dollars like WordPress and Duolingo, who I'll talk about in a second. Brought them all together for these books. I got 3 billion under 30 right here. And if you email me at any time during this presentation, I'll send you and your team a few copies for free as a thank you for being here. And then, like I said, today I run Meeting of the Minds. Figured I might as well bring all these amazing people together in person to collaborate, solve pressing problems for their company, and scale. And I'm also really excited about getting these same people to work together to solve problems in their community, just like the Sullivan County Partnership does with all of you. We've been forced to host our meetings virtually as well, and I can't wait for the day when we can bring everyone back together hopefully at a meeting space like the one you see, this work-life campus that we want to build in Sullivan County. In fact, I'll be in Sullivan County next week to hopefully finalize our property selection. And so, this has been a really interesting conversation back and forth with the SCP team. And part of why I was here to, converse with you is to share some really exciting trends that I see, because the future is now, and we shouldn't think about just rebuilding our economy here. We should think about passing and leapfrogging other counties and how we can take these trends and really maximize them moving forward. And so I'll go through a couple of them. Obviously we're looking at remote work, and when we go back to offices, I personally don't think that everyone's going to work from home, but I also don't think that every single person's going back to the office. What I see in the future, and with experience at 15.5 and with some technologies that we'll talk about, I think we're going to have just more acceptance of work-life integration. You're going to be able to work from home a few days a week, or have some team members who have lifestyle preferences to work from home. You might have regional hubs where people can work together if they're together on a sales team, or if they're on a marketing team, or if they're on a tech team. There's going to be all different setups, and it's going to depend on the company, but we're never going back to what we had previously. There's going to be a lot more acceptance and implementation of remote work. As you know, with this flexibility, there's going to be a huge move to suburbs and also to regional hubs. On a personal level, people are escaping the cities because it's not as safe right now, but it's also been extremely expensive in places like New York and San Francisco. And so now is the time to sort of equalize, or for the highest earners, they can go get more land. They can have a little more flexibility. A lot of these people are millennials who have been waiting and waiting and waiting to buy their first home or buy a larger home to have a family. And if you look at the trends, there's 75 million millennials that are looking to buy their first home or buy a home big enough to actually have a family in. Right now, this goes with record low mortgage rates. It goes with a renewed focus on health and lifestyle because of a global pandemic. And it comes with all different companies that are stepping up to meet this need. There was a company that went through a SPAC, if you're following the markets, called Opendoor. The founder of Opendoor almost made $3 billion under 30. I had multiple conversations with him on it. Unfortunately, he didn't contribute. But Opendoor has been working for years to bring technology into the home buying process. And they are a company that just went public. They decided to go public because of these same technology trends that you're seeing right now. I literally read this morning about a new company called Picasso from the co-founder of Zillow, where if you want to go purchase a second home, you don't have to buy 100% of the home yourself. You can actually share ownership with one or two other families. Companies like 15.5, there's dozens of them now that are empowering remote teams, partly remote teams, or companies that are in person but just want to really make the best use of their staff and empower everyone. You have companies like Homebound, which are tech-enabled home builders. Right now, this company in particular is primarily in California, addressing all the needs with the fires and homes that have been burned down, with homeowners that have insurance checks and want to rebuild in a smarter way. You have companies like Duelito, which are making prefab homes that you can buy on Amazon and then 2-3 weeks later have to your new plot of land. Zoom, which allows us to have these meetings virtually. And I think the biggest trend, the most exciting one for Sullivan County, as I'm learning about your various industries of focus and about the history of Sullivan County, is that I think there's a massive rebranding and educational opportunity here. If you think about Napa Valley, they do a phenomenal job of getting thousands of separate wine owners to come together and market the region. Yes, there's competition among the wine owners. They still want to have as many visitors come to their place as possible, but they've really branded themselves on a global scale. And perhaps Sullivan County can do the same thing. If you think about Austin, in the last 10 years, they really made a focus to be one of the major startup cities. And they also have all these sort of subcultures as well for music, for food, for health and wellness companies. There's a lot of different fitness companies that go and base themselves in Austin. And so I think there's a huge opportunity to figure out what you want to educate the world on and come together to share that message. I have another client, a similar economic development group in Bermuda. I've actually worked with the Bermuda Tourism Authority, the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation, which is sort of like the SBA, and also the Bermuda Business Development Agency, which attracts international business. And they've been working through this right now to figure out how are they going to brand themselves globally, reinvent themselves, because they're also hurting with tourism. So the massive opportunity here for Sullivan County, and really any county that is 2 hours from New York, or with all the different benefits that you guys have, all the rich culture. I'm really genuinely excited for Sullivan County, and that's why I'm spending a lot of time and money investing in the region. And so from my research, I think the thing I can talk about is how do we achieve exponential success in record time. The reason why I study top performing millennials in particular is in part because the people in my books have only had 5 years, 10 years, 15 years to create companies worth billions of dollars or to achieve the pinnacle of their career. And so to me, they're outliers worth studying. And I don't represent all millennials everywhere. I'm here to talk about the few hundred or even couple thousand millennials that you would want to hire to run your company, that we'd want to attract to bring hundreds of employees to the region, the folks who are actually starting and growing companies. But millennials aren't so young anymore. These are people in their 30s and mid to late 20s. And so they are inevitably going to run the economy, whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now. They're going to eventually take over all leadership at corporate, Fortune 500s and stuff like that. So what can we learn from them instead of having this bash of generations? Like, what can we learn from these outliers? That's what I've spent years studying, and I'm excited to share just a small bit of that with you. The first thing I want to share, and there's only three, I'll keep this short and sweet, but to achieve exponential success, we need to experiment, and we need to put ourselves in a position to be exponentially successful. If you do what everyone else is doing, you're going to get the same results as everyone else. And so in front of you is Matt Mullenweg, who's the co-founder of WordPress. WordPress powers 1/3 of all websites on the internet. They're owned by a larger company called Automatic. And what Matt has done with his company twice now is fascinating. Let's talk about the technology itself. Basically, WordPress is an open source platform, meaning you can go and copy the code. You can name it Jared Press if you want to. You can see all the code. And now this is pretty common, but when Matt started WordPress, everything was closed source software. So think about getting a new Apple product and having to sign over your life to agree to the terms of service. That would be closed source software. You don't own any of it. You can't see it. And you're basically just agreeing to whatever they say. And so Matt built an open source platform at a time when everyone else was doing closed source software. Worst case scenario, his 6 months, a year, creating that technology, building the company would fail miserably. And he's a very smart guy. He would go work for another company, or maybe he'd create a closed source software product. But best case scenario, he creates a new way of working that powers over 1/3 of all websites on the internet, including major media outlets. A lot of massive companies use WordPress. Perhaps some of you use WordPress for your websites as well. I think the additional experiment that he's run is that when he started Automatic, he decided early on not to have offices at all. His team, which is about 1,000 people now, they're all remote, and they enable their workforces to get the technology they need to work remote. They give them stipends to travel to quarterly team meetings in person so that the different product teams can get together. And then once a year, they have a big annual meeting where they bring everyone together to keep building that culture, work on sort of strategic initiatives. But that's an uncommon experience 5-10 years ago. And now we're going to have more companies doing that. Perhaps you may want to experiment in that same fashion in order to get top talent, not just from Sullivan County, but from anywhere, really. So that's Matt for you. Let's talk about the second idea I want to share with you. So the first is, experiment, put yourself in a position to be exponentially successful. The second thing that I see a lot of top performing millennials doing is they're building their own network, and then they're leveraging their own network. And so this traditionally could mean a social media following. You see a lot of social media influencers and we laugh at them. They're making these silly videos, but guess what? They're earning millions of dollars if they're top performers in partnership with a lot of companies. They have a direct line of communication with their fans. And so they're able to monetize that accordingly. If we think about LeBron James, I'm a diehard Miami Heat fan, huge basketball fan. Obviously the finals started last night for sports fans. What I really think is interesting about LeBron, and he would have been a dream contributor to 3 billion under 30, but unfortunately could not get LeBron to be in the book. We do have the NBA scout who discovered Anthony Davis. So if you're a super nerd sports fan like me, maybe you'll appreciate that. But anyways, LeBron, what he's done with his network is he's built obviously relationships with other players. He's created business entities like Uninterrupted, which is a media company where he's creating a following there. He's also created his own entertainment company and is creating movies, including the next Space Jam. And then he's not only building these entities, but he's leveraging them. He's bringing other people in, other players, to not only create a more popular movie or a more popular voting initiative or a more popular media platform, but he's also strengthening his ties with those players. He's creating even more opportunities for himself. And again, he has a direct line of communication to fans. So there's no media company that can come and take away his opportunities to achieve exponential success. He's increasingly putting himself in a resilient situation, building a moat. And then he's not stopping there. He's doing what a lot of other top performing millennials would do in this situation. And what I want Sullivan County to do, this is the third and final thing I'll share with you, is that they're out collaborating the competition. And so with those silly social media followers, they're doing collaborations and they're taking their network and they're partnering with someone else who has a major network, and they're doing a video together or a post together, and both of their followings are growing at the same time. If you think about media companies with guest posts on their blogs, or podcasting and featuring guests, growing both audiences at the same time. I think at a system level, what Duolingo is doing, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, they've really revitalized Pittsburgh as a tech destination, and they've created hundreds and hundreds of jobs in Pittsburgh, out of all places, is that they've created an entire company and product around out collaborating the competition. And so this is basically how Duolingo works. People learn languages through Duolingo. As they're learning, they basically translate the internet from one language to another. And then certain people are paying for premium Duolingo experiences. And by doing that, they give Duolingo all this translated web technology, which they can feed to other people in other languages to, again, keep learning. But then the Duolingo team can go hire, hundreds of people, bring them to Pittsburgh, revitalize that community, invest in the community. They can develop new products and services. And then it's a virtuous cycle because they can, bring in more users and on and on and on. And so I think this is really interesting, and I would love to see how Sullivan County can do this because, to me, COVID-19 is going to be as pivotal to culture as Woodstock was. I know we don't talk about that as much as maybe we should, or maybe everyone's tired of talking about Woodstock because there's so many other cool things going on in the region, but there's so much here to explore, and things will never be the same again, for better or for worse. And so hopefully we can take this opportunity, think about how to reinvent ourselves, how to maximize these opportunities for our individual businesses, create small experiments, put a few $1,000s aside, put a couple months aside and see if we can build a new company altogether, or change how we're doing things. Let's continue building our networks. And so for you, maximizing all the different members that are in SCP, maybe creating a newsletter or a podcast, something where you can build your own audience and talk to your clients, regardless of a global pandemic or anything else that's going on that would take their attention away from you. And then how can we out collaborate the competition? How can we bring everyone together to the table right now? Think about how we can put Sullivan County on the map for whatever we want to do, whether it is tourism, whether it is technology. Bermuda is sort of doing an experiment with being one of the first countries and places in the world to develop stable coins and reinvent the finance world. Napa Valley is going through fires right now. And so they're not doing a lot of rebranding. They're just trying to save themselves. But whatever you guys want to do, it's possible. We just got to get everyone together on the same page. And so I definitely want to continue the conversation with you. If you want to email me, I'm going to be in town next week, and then I'm going to be in town again, and in town in sort of Bethel, Monticello area in 2 weeks from now. So I would love to meet you in person. I'm happy to send you copies of my book and really continue the conversation, because there's so many other notes I have about the future of the world and about technology and perhaps your industry as well. And so I want to thank the team again for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure just listening to all these presentations, and I really look forward to meeting you in person whenever that's safe.
So there's three themes that I took from tonight. One was adapt, which is a theme that we carried. The other was comeback, because that's what we're going to do. And the other one was technology. And I think Jared touched on the points that I've been talking about for a couple of years now. For us to be able to compete with other areas the traditional way is going to be a slog. It's going to take years of approvals and site development and getting buildings here and building hard infrastructure from the last century. I think this is an opportunity for us as a county and as a region, frankly, to leapfrog, and I've been using that word a lot lately, leapfrog over that period of time so that we can catch up, so that we can bring in jobs here that pay higher than average wages. We're talking to an IT company right now that is going to be bringing in jobs that have an average wage of $130,000. This is the type of pay scale that these IT companies are bringing in. We mentioned the project about a month and a half ago at a public setting. We do so at a 40,000 foot level. And the next day the phone was ringing off the hook. You'd be surprised how many people are already up here in the IT world, in their second home or their rental home doing this. We got 3 calls, folks just like Jared, that said, hey, I'm here and I'm all in and I want to be part of this. Yesterday, I was visited by a gentleman who provides IT services internationally, has 1,800 employees worldwide, and now wants to be part of this phenomenon in Sullivan County. We have an opportunity to do something big, to do something special in Sullivan County, and that's marry what we've always known we had, our beauty, our bucolic setting, our country setting, our natural assets here with technology, and bringing in people that want to be here, that want to live here, that want to enjoy what we have to offer here, but bring their skill set and their technology here. And I believe we're in the process of doing that now, and it's going to pay dividends for ourselves and our kids and our grandkids in the future if we do this right. At this point, this concludes our meeting. I again want to thank everybody that was involved, the staff, the new officers, the board, the new chair, the outgoing chair, all of you who have participated on this virtual call, and our sponsors and our membership who continue to support us. Please be safe. May you have a very prosperous, healthy, and safe holiday season. And like everyone else, I'm sure on this call, I'm damn sure looking forward to 2021, because we are going to get on it. We'll come back. Hopefully we'll have a solution to this whole COVID situation, get this economy going again, and we will pick up where we left off earlier this year and take Sullivan County to places that we've never seen before. Thank you all for attending, and I appreciate all the work that you do for Sullivan County and for the region. Thank you.